The simple fact of the matter is that when we look at this, they don't care about women's basic sex rights, because if they actually cared about women's rights, they would care about trans women. Because all the things that affect women, save for very specific things such as abortion, directly affect trans women or indirectly affect us. Do you not think that anti-abortion bills go hand in hand with anti-trans kid bills? This is the same parties doing the same thing, and these people will weaponize that and work with them. Remember, we went over this on stream. So many videos for you people to watch. We have a Judith Butler video talking about her take and showing how the gender critical movement, this recent thing about we need to protect gender, the transes are coming to take our genders. Guess what? It's deeply rooted in fascism. Hey everyone. So, we got something we want to talk about. You remember how there's this idea that conservatives, or people that are actually conservatives despite their claims to being, liberal or leftist, will always play victim. They will always play victim. They will always up the amount of harm. They will always magnitude the amount of harm because they are constantly perpetuating the idea that they're victims while victimizing other people. Case in point, J.K. Rowling. So we haven't talked about her a ton on here, but J.K. is well known for being the author of Harry Potter, duh, but she's also very well known for, and how do I put this delicately, being a massive transphobe. It started a few years back when she signaled support for Maya Forrester. She then put forth her massive TERF manifesto talking about her own sexual assault and how that led her to hate all men, or at least distrust them. And now she somehow takes that on trans women, despite us not being men. It's a thing that TERFs like to weaponize all the time. Their assaults from men somehow translate to us doing it, despite the fact there's no evidence to say that we are no way in hell, guilty of these things. I actually think the data shows that we're less likely than the average person. So whatever. But here's where it's really funny. She has claimed, despite I think her not being invited to her own 20th anniversary for Harry Potter, I think all the actors are going, I don't think she's welcome, because they're all supporters of trans people, and she's a giant transphobe who has done demonstrable harm to the trans community by using her $1 billion platform to weaponize against us. People who are demonstrably less wealthy and who really just want to be left alone. But no, she throws in her lot with hate speech. If you don't believe me, go read the video, or watch the video, about TERF dog whistles. Go watch the video about the recent UK rulings. Go watch every video we've talked about TERFs on. These are all things we've covered. Moving on. So what's weird about this situation is that a photo came out showing a trio of people standing in front of J.K. Rowling's house, holding up signs saying, "Don't be a sissy, trans liberation, trans rights are human rights," all based and trans-pilled. However, and this is the important part, she, of course, put that out there and asked everyone to delete it and said she was being threatened by transphobic messages and overwhelming amounts of serious threats, and she was doxxed. They put my address out there. And had this been an actual thing of doxing, I would say, bad form. And that would have been the extent of my caring. While I think doxing is absolutely disgusting, I also think that J.K. Rowling has done demonstrable harm, so I find myself a little less sympathetic. Do I still want any harm to come? Of course not. I don't want any harm to come to anyone. But she has done demonstrable harm to my people. Thus, I find myself only shedding crocodile tears. Here's the thing, though. She goes on this giant rant saying her house was doxxed. Her address put out there for transphobic people do. And of course, every TERF shared this thing showing, oh, look, they're coming after women. Once again, they're threatening us. Rowling continues. I have to assume that Georgia Frost, Holly Stars, and Richard Energy thought doxing me would intimidate me out of speaking up for women's base sex rights. They said they should have reflected on the fact that I've now received so many death threats that I could paper my house with them, and I've stopped speaking, and I haven't stopped speaking out. They all deactivated their accounts, probably for the best, considering TERFs probably are just going to be shitty. So, what is she talking about here? She says women's base sex rights. We're feminists. We should be supporting women, right? TERFs are not feminists. They claim to be, and we say they are by saying they're TERFs, but what they really are is a hate movement that cloaks their language in feminism. Their goal is essentially to pretend to be feminists standing for women's rights when really what they want to do is hurt trans women and infantilize trans men. Their biggest goals have been, say, the trans bathroom issues, or trying to say that all of these young girls are being forced to become trans men. All of this is demonstrably false, including their fake diagnosis they've made. If you want to go see my takedown of that, watch the Sasha Yad video talking about rapid onset gender dysphoria, which is a made-up thing by a lady named Littman. We also have a video from Kira that we went through and looked at Littman's most recent research about detransitioners, and that also was bogus. Sex-based really refers to XX chromosome, or at least what they think are XX chromosome, because again, intersex people exist. But essentially, they want to use this language to be as harmful as possible so that only women who are, natally born, or however language you want to use, are treated as women. They're against self-ID. They're against trans women being able to use the bathroom. They will weaponize everything, from fear of sexual assault to claiming harm when there is none. They are awful. Let me be very abundantly clear. They are awful. So, what happened here? How can we be okay with this happening? Well, them put out an article on this. J.K. Rowling, whose mansion is on Wikipedia, decries doxing. So it seems Miss Rowling decided to play victim. Mrs. Rowling, excuse me. She's married. Don't want to be rude. Rowling, who is known for penning transphobic rants as well as some fantasy books, took to Twitter yesterday to claim that said activist actors carefully positioned themselves to ensure that her address was visible in the pictures they posted on social media, which they have since taken down. She gave thanks to those who reported the images to Twitter support, as well as to the Scotland police, and implored those people who retweeted the images with the address still visible, even if they did so in condemnation of the people's actions, to delete it. This is, again, despite the fact that both of Rowling's Edinburgh area residences are historical landmarks, and one of which has a Wikipedia page, and the other one which would be immediately obvious from the massive hedges around it. God, white feminism, just doing it.
Rich white feminism.
You gotta love it. Like, again, if you're not a white girl, these feminists do not care about you. Do they care about black women? No. Latino women? No. Asian women? No. Because anytime another level of intersection is brought up, it immediately changes the script. This is what they did historically, right? Black women were always framed as being less than somehow. There was actually a really great part of this in FD Signifiers video, right, with the Dave Chappelle stuff. Women has been a term that is actually weaponized in a lot of ways to say, yeah, anytime a woman is something else besides just a woman, she is somehow this sexually promiscuous monster or this desexed being or every other fucking thing they can do. And that's what trans women are too. Trans women are treated as though we are these harmful creatures that are going to inevitably come after women, and we're just sex crazed, and we're doing this because of a fetish, which, again, there's no evidence to, and Blanchard is completely discredited. Because they're using the same things that white feminists have always done. Suffragettes kicked black women out of the movement because they only cared about themselves. The civil rights movement got kicked in the balls several times because white feminist helpers would back out when they got their shit. Because the moment they got theirs, suddenly the concerns about race disappeared. Because, yeah, you're a woman, but are you? And that's how trans women are treated now. Oh, yeah, it's absolutely based on projection. It's them taking their own hatred and their own disgust towards us and vomiting it out. It is disturbing. The thing here is, and this is what I want to be very clear about, Rowling is basically doing the thing that she claims we do. One of the big pieces that a lot of transphobes like to do is claim that we're always maximizing the idea that we're being harmed but never putting forth data, despite that every bit of research shows we have, again, trigger warnings for the norms, high suicide rates, murder rates we just went over, the trans remembrance stuff, and let's be very clear, not to mention partner abuse, the trans panic defense, and a whole host of other things, including medicalized transphobia that was going on for like 50 plus years, where the only girls that got to transition were ones that looked fuckable, and so on, and so on, and so forth. This is why these people are monsters, because what they do is they project out on us the supposed lies we're doing when our stuff is all very clearly researchable and actually provable, and then claiming this amount of harm. Anyone could have found J.K. Rowling's house. Also, she's a billionaire, which means that, do you really think she doesn't have a security squad? Do you really think those 3 trans people were really going to get on the fence and get inside? They were crack sniper team? No. They would have been jumped at the gate by like 3 6'6" dudes. You don't think she can afford security? Is this insane? Cameras, dogs, the whole Mr. Burns, release the Hound Smithers thing. This is the inherent issue with TERFs. They claim the harm put against us is fake, despite research showing otherwise. And then they claim harm where there is none. They say it's because of her speaking up for women's-based sex rights, when really what it is Rowling has been seduced by a hate movement that claims to be there for women, but in reality what they are is somebody who is vehemently and directly aimed against trans women. They look at us as something less than. And they do it based on biological difference. The joke being is that biology has nothing to do with gender. This is the screw up that Dave Chappelle did. Don't worry, we'll be talking about him in a bit. The simple fact of the matter is that when we look at this, they don't care about women's-based sex rights, because if they actually cared about women's rights, they would care about trans women. Because all the things that affect women, save for very specific things such as abortion, directly affect trans women or indirectly affect us. Do you not think that anti-abortion bills go hand in hand with anti-trans kid bills? This is the same parties doing the same thing, and these people will weaponize that and work with them. Remember, we went over this on stream. So many videos for you people to watch. We have a Judith Butler video talking about her take and showing how the gender critical movement, this recent thing about we need to protect gender, the transes are coming to take our genders. Guess what? It's deeply rooted in fascism. Dave Chappelle touted it. J.K. Rowling is touting it. Hell, the girl from Black Panther is touting it. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name again. I got yelled at by chat the last time. The simple fact of the matter is that we have anti-science people with tremendous amounts of power who weaponize this stuff against us and then lie about it. Dave Chappelle claimed he was being canceled. No one can cancel him. He's a millionaire, billionaire. He's one of the most well-known comedians on the planet. Chappelle's show is still loved to this day. No one can cancel him. What are they going to do? Force him off of Twitter? Well, you just let one of your interns handle it. So hard. The simple fact of the matter, The scandal comes on the heels of the announcement that Rowling will not be making an appearance in HBO Max's Harry Potter 20th Anniversary Return to Hogwarts special, which will be aired in the streaming service on New Year's Day. The special will reunite series stars Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, as well as other actors from the film franchise to discuss the making of Harry Potter and its impact. Notably, all the actors behind the trio have spoken out against Rowling's transphobia. Although no reason for Rowling's absence from the special has been publicly given, it's not hard to imagine that her continued insistence on being loudly and proudly transphobic might have caused some controversy and or tensions between her and the actors. I really hope Emma Watson threw a fit. I don't know why I'd want to see that, but I want her to go like full like Willy Wonka Veruca Salt and just be like, I ain't coming to this thing if that bitch is there. Do you see me? Like, I'm internationally well known now. I've been in dozens of movies. I am bigger than this Harry Potter shit. So no, I will come there with my friends. I'll deal with the red-haired kid and the other guy. I'm not dealing with her. So yeah. The simple fact of the matter is that this stuff is what it always is. Hatred and weaponization of supposed harm being aimed at a group that is already a target in so many ways. Now, I'm going to make a very simple statement. One thing this channel is very clear about is that we do not support harassment. So if you don't like that, that's okay. Go. You can leave. You can still subscribe and all that. You know, we can talk about stuff elsewhere. But we don't harass people. We don't go after them in real life. We don't do any of that. I am not advocating that for any way. So leave J.K. Rowling alone. Block her and all of her cronies. Use the Mega Block app and just block hundreds of thousands of them. Make them go away on Twitter or wherever else you don't want to deal with them. The simple fact of the matter is that J.K. Rowling, because of the way class functions, is essentially untouchable other than when she sticks her foot in her mouth. Let her keep doing it. The only thing we can do is just hope that she goes so horrific that she eventually goes down the route of glitter and gets kicked off Twitter. That's my hope. But the simple fact of the matter is this, and I need people to really get this. We said the same thing here with RGR. Do not brigade, can't talk, or harass. RGR is already being incredibly harassed online for her incredibly kink-phobic, transphobic takes towards Doe. JK already gets a ton of critique and stuff. We don't need to interact with these people. You don't need to go after them in their real lives. If the people that they deal with in real life see their behavior and decide to take action, great. But we don't need to weaponize that against them. Because remember, that goes both ways. We have professionals in our community who people could go after. We don't want to normalize that behavior unless there's very real harm being done. And by real harm, I mean demonstrable and widespread. Savvy? If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider donating to us. You can support us on our website, transgirltherapist.org. You can also help us on our Patreon, link below, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.